Hello again. Those of you who watch these devotionals regularly may remember 3 weeks ago one of the presenters said in the opening sentence, "I've never been so stumped about what to write for a devotional," and I just loved that honesty. I wonder when the last time was that you've said those words about something in your life which is affecting you and you're not quite sure what to do about it. Sometimes we might look at a menu and see so many things that we'd like to choose that we stare at it and say, I just don't know what to order, but that's kind of trivial. That's not really what I'm talking about today. I'm speaking here of those bigger issues that we find sometimes very difficult. Could be an issue in our workplace or in our family or another relationship. It could be in the use of finances, perhaps a key decision involving a change of job or even a whole new career move. What do we do in these situations when of ourselves we don't seem to have the answers and we can feel overwhelmed? In 2 Chronicles chapter 20, the people of Judah under the reign of King Jehoshaphat are facing a massive problem too. Listen to what the king gets told. A vast army is coming against you from Edom, from the other side of the sea. That's the Dead Sea, and is already at En-gedi. Now, King Jehoshaphat's reaction was one of alarm because the major problem had literally already landed, and geographically the invaders were almost at his doorstep. King Jehoshaphat is stumped. What is he going to do? Well, I want to look briefly at 4 pieces of wisdom that we can learn from when we face big problems, looking at what King Jehoshaphat did next. Firstly, he immediately resolves to inquire of the Lord. The king and all the people come together from all over Judah to seek help from the Lord. They invite him into the problem at the earliest opportunity, not as a last resort. Secondly, the king declares in the presence of all the people who God is. O Lord, God of our ancestors, are you not the God who is in heaven? You rule over all the kingdoms of the nations. Power and might are in your hand, and no one can withstand you. Remember, in the midst of our problems, it's always God who has the rule over the people involved, or in this case, the nations involved. It's God who has the might. It's God who has all the resources needed to help. Thirdly, he spells out to God what the specific problem is. And we need to do this too. Be specific. Of course, it wasn't that God didn't know that the army from Edom were already at En-gedi. He knew perfectly well where the invaders were. But when we asked for God's help, we need to lay out before him what the specific problem is. God already knows our issues, but he wants us to ask him. The king summarizes the key problem like this, reminding God as well of a previous promise he's made. But now, here are men from Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir, whose territory you would not allow Israel to invade when they came from Egypt. So they turned away from them and did not destroy them. See how they are repaying us by coming to drive us out of the possession you gave us as an inheritance. Fourthly and finally, the king asks for God's direct intervention to act and help solve the problem. Our God, will you not judge them? For we have no power to face this vast army that is attacking us. We do not know what to do, but our eyes are on you. To paraphrase, the king and his people were stumped, but they quickly involved God in the matter. They reminded themselves who had the power to sort it out. They brought their specific problem to God, and they asked for his direct intervention to solve it. And throughout it all, as they did this, they kept their eyes focused on him. So the invading army are now on the move from En-gedi into Judah. What happened next? Well, I'm not going to tell you, but you can find out by reading 2 Chronicles 20, verses 13 to 30.